What's up? It's Jimfro from Medicheck Pull, and I'm here to get you caught up on what's going on with Guardian Druid and Shadowlands. I'll first talk about what's changing from BFA, and I'll also be giving my thoughts on how the changes feel so far. So most of my early years were spent playing Guardian Druid, all the way from BC up to the end of Legion actually. This bad boy even helped me get cutting edge on Argus after one of our tanks quits 400 pulls in. Yeah. Needless to say, I love Guardian Druid. However, in BFA I decided to switch off of Druid because of how absolutely bland it was to play. And unfortunately, it's the exact same in Shadowlands, with the only caveat being that legendaries and covenants could shake things up a bit. Before we get to the changes, let me first say that I understand that the vast majority of top players are hating on Guardian right now due to its simplicity. But that doesn't mean it isn't a viable tank option. I mean, it has a ton of amazing tools for the standard tank situations you could find yourself in. Seriously, they have fantastic mitigation, good AoE threat generation, a plethora of crowd control, an amazing raid-wide movement speed increase, and probably the best defensive cooldown lineup out of all of the tanks. I'm just saying, they might be boring, but they might also be effective. Okay, so let's talk about the changes. The first change that I need to mention, because I was super excited to see it back, is Berserk becoming baseline. We finally, after 2 excruciating years, have our DPS cooldown back. Except, you'll only ever use it as a defensive cooldown because it contributes to almost no damage increase. Yeah. But it does, however, have a very solid defensive increase by giving your Frenzied Regeneration and Iron Fur a huge boost in effectiveness. I'm guessing that Blizzard will be turning the tuning knobs a bit to allow Berserk to feel a bit more impactful as a DPS cooldown. Going along with Frenzied Regen, they resurrected Renewal, which is a pretty decent on-demand heal. Add that together with the talent that allows Mangle to increase your Frenzied Regen healing by 20%, Restoration Affinity, and Berserk, Guardian starts to look like one of those healing tanks. And that's not even including their mastery. All I'm saying is their healing is pretty damn good compared to some of the other tank options. Now, I'm a bit hesitant to talk smack about Heart of the Wild because it's one of those abilities that has a special place in the hearts of all druids of old. But god damn is it hot garbage. The only time I can see this being useful is if you're out of range of a boss that isn't taking 99% reduced damage, or maybe there's a particular intermission that needs more off heals from the tank? Yeah, I don't know what Blizzard was thinking. This is just not what we needed. At least it's on the same row as utility, making it slightly more attractive if you end up not needing mass entangle or a stun. This could have been so much more fun if it was on a 2-minute cooldown, or hell, even less. In its current state, it accounts for almost nothing, which really makes me a sad bear. And now that I think about it, that's the main problem with Guardian. There's almost no decision making, hardly any synergies, and you end up just being a basic bear because of it. The rotation can hardly be optimized with good play, and the talent options are there, but it really doesn't matter what you pick because most of the talents have very little impact on the outcome. This does make Guardian a very solid tank for anyone who's just getting into tanking, and again, it doesn't mean that Guardian is less effective than other tanks. It's just bland, which to some can get boring. The skill ceiling is the floor, which ultimately means I'll be maining it for Shadowlands. I mean, maybe. There are also some other changes like Pulverize becoming a 20% single target DR on a 30-second cooldown, and one that I'm actually furious about is Balance and Resto getting Stampeding Roar. This is actually just silly. Feral and Guardian have been struggling to get into raids, and taking away one of their only unique tools really hurts. I hope this gets reverted, but I highly doubt it will. With the major changes out of the way, let's talk about the rotation. You'll want to keep Thrash and Mangle on cooldown, keep Moonfire on all targets if they'll live for several seconds, fill with Swipe, and never use Maul. It's a trap, not kidding. And because we're tanking, we have to stay alive by trying to have at least 1 stack of Iron Fur rolling at all times, using Bark Skin or Survival Instincts before taking big damage, using Frenzied Regeneration after taking big damage, and also consider using Berserk for more healing and survivability. Not too difficult, but still, Guardian is looking to be pretty effective in most high-end situations. For Mythic Plus, they're going to be great because of the reasons I mentioned earlier, as well as that they have great utility in the way of Battle Res, Mass Entangle, Typhoon, and Ursul's Vortex, and they're the only tank that can remove enrage effects, which could be invaluable in some dungeons. Of course, their burst damage and damage overall could be a bit lacking depending on tuning, but that could be said for any tank. As for rating, I also think Guardian could be a super safe choice for all difficulties, including up to cutting edge. The sheer amount of defensive cooldowns with decent self-healing and a steady rate of incoming damage because of how simple Ironfur is to manage means it could be a smooth tank to heal. Honestly, I feel like Blizzard should rework Guardian so that it feels more rewarding to play while also keeping the effectiveness that it has now. And can we please get some gameplay changing talents? Like, why the hell do we still have Lunar Beam? It's almost certainly the worst talent in the game. I dare you to find something worse than Lunar Beam. Either way, there's something special about Guardian that keeps me loving it, even if it's not enough to keep me playing it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what type of playstyle changes the Covenants and Legendaries bring to Guardian. Fingers crossed. And that's my quick review of the Guardian Druid. Of course, I want to take a second to thank all of our patrons and subscribers who support us. Even a simple like goes a long way in helping us grow. Also, let us know which specs you'd like us to review next in the comments below or in the Ready Check Poll Discord. Links to our streams and everything else in the description. Love you all. Peace.